Someone taking the Brie Larson approach to promoting their MCU projects is Tenoch Huerta, who's going to be playing a new reconfigured version of Namor in the MCU in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And here to talk with me about that is Aaron Sparrow. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing fantastic, Wes. How are you doing?
Probably a lot better than Namor fans because we're getting an absolute bastardized version of the character. If you're a Namor fan, you are absolutely not going to get that character in this movie.
No, this actor's casting is the reason that I'm not interested in seeing Black Panther. You know, the problem is that you're already at a deficit because I'm already not terribly interested in seeing a Black Panther movie that doesn't have the Black Panther. You know, obviously, Chadwick Boseman, tragic death. I think there is a certain amount of time that should have passed, you know, just out of respect for him and what he brought to the role. But, you know, with the pandemic and everything, we really hit a point where, you know, time passed. So he should be recast. So they've already got an uphill battle there. It'll probably still do okay, but, you know, for me as a hardcore Marvel Comics fan and a fan of Namor, when I saw this guy's casting, I was like, nope.
Well, I wasn't completely out, I guess, just seeing him, but now that I've heard him speak a little bit, I'm absolutely all the way out. Tenoch Huerta comes off as just a really antagonistic person, doesn't know Namor. This is what he had to say about his casting. This new version responds to this time and how this world has transformed. So for me, it was natural and beautiful. It could have been any brown-skinned Latin actor, but I got it. I love it, and I'm the guy. I'm Namor now. Apparently, you didn't have to be a good actor. You didn't have to, like, encompass who the character was. You only needed to be a brown-skinned Latin actor to be the part, and they're changing the role for the modern world, Aaron. That works every single time.
Well, the fact of the matter is, it shouldn't have been a brown-skinned Latin actor. If anything, there is an actor out there. I can't remember his name off the top of his head, but I've posted pictures of him before on Twitter. He's a half white, half Asian actor, and he looks like Namor. He's jacked. He's got the arched eyebrows. He's got the cheekbones. The moment I saw that guy, I was like, that guy should be Namor. And I thought that he was in contention and that might be the direction that they were going in. And then when they announced Tenoch Huerta, I was just like, oh, I'm out. This guy doesn't look like Namor. I'm not interested in the whole Aztec thing that they're stitching onto it. I want to see on the big screen the version of the character that I care about, the version of the character that I love, and I'm not going to get that, so I'm out.
And it sounds like they're incorporating a lot of, I guess, real world. It sounds a lot like politics, I'll be honest. Kind of talking about the way that Namor's people, I don't know if they're Atlantean even anymore, in the relationship with Wakanda. This is what Tenoch Huerta said. You will see them in a light of confrontation. That sounds normal. That's certainly the way we see them in comic books. We don't get along, but it's funny. In the end, they have too much in common. He later continued, it portrays what is happening here in the States from my perspective between minorities of this country. I think at some point we just need to join together and create that different thing. This dude isn't American. He's Mexican. I don't even know what he's getting at with that. Are minorities just attacking each other and going to war all over America?
Are there two warring ethno-states within America that are at each other's throats? I don't think there is. This is why you shouldn't let actors talk. I remember Anthony Hopkins saying that he doesn't give political opinions. He doesn't give opinions on current events. And he said because in his estimation, actors are very stupid. A lot of the time they open their mouth and they certainly prove that. You know, I think there are some smart actors out there. There's some really intelligent people. But, you know, Kurt Russell said much the same thing. You know, you don't want to hear from me. I'm dumb. You know, every time Mark Ruffalo tweets something, you go, oh, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. So, yeah, I think that anytime you've got your actors out there talking about the role and talking about everybody's trying to puff it up and make it important. It's like you're playing a superhero. It's not that important.
Well, it's blown up in so many people's faces. Obviously, the most recent example is Lord of the Rings of Power, where you had so many of the cast members going out there going, we're taking Tolkien's work, but we're making it for the modern era. We're changing it for modern times. And that's just an immediate turnoff to anyone that's actually a fan of Tolkien or Middle-earth, or anyone that's a fan of like Marvel, the MCU, and the characters themselves. It's like, I don't come to this for allegories about minority relations in America. I'm coming for entertainment.
And that's not what I'm here for. I live in the modern world. I don't need to see a reflection of the modern world. I can just turn on the TV and, oh, there's the modern world. I can walk outside. There's the modern world. I got plenty of that. What I need is escapism and entertainment. Make classic stories that are timeless. That's why the Lord of the Rings films, how long ago did those come out? I can still pop them in. They're still great. They still resonate with me the same way. In 10 years, they'll resonate with me the same way still. All of this crap that they're just cramming current day grievances and politics into, it's not going to age well. It's not going to be revered. It's not going to make money. and you're already seeing the decline.
Probably the biggest thing, the biggest red flag that I've seen from Tenoch Huerta, you know, if you go and research, if you go read up on him, he's a big time activist. Like that's his thing. And he talks about incorporating his activism into the story, and apparently they're listening to it. He says, in the film, there's a Mesoamerican inspiration based on the research of a team made up of people from different professional backgrounds. He later continues, I made it clear from the beginning what my convictions and off-screen struggles were. In the comics, Namor is anti-capitalist and anti-colonialist. He's Charo. Like, in the comic books, Namor is a fucking dictator.
Also, Namor was a capitalist. In John Byrne's run, he took a bunch of the treasure from the bottom of the ocean, was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna fight for the things I believe in, you know, on the surface world's terms. And he formed a big corporation, and it was a great run.
And he's talking about he's been giving these guys notes, and they incorporated, he says 90% of his notes into the story itself. I'm like, that is a bad sign.
Well, I know that Latveria makes its debut in this film, so hopefully Doctor Doom just shows up and kills him.
Eviscerates everybody. That'd be a good start.
Right? Wouldn't that be a great ending to the film, as Doctor Doom just shows up and wipes out the Atlanteans and severely damages Wakanda, and now going forward, we have to decide how to deal with the threat of Doctor Doom? That'd be amazing. Phase 4 has been a disaster. I think the only film that's actually been successful is, Doctor Strange was moderately successful. Obviously, Sony's Spider-Man was a huge hit, but everything else has just tanked. They're just trying to do this thing where it's like, hey, we're going to incorporate all these things and we're getting all these audiences. You know, now all the Mexican audiences will come because Namor is Hispanic. Will they? I don't know. We'll see, but I don't think it's going to happen.
They're not targeting the Mexican audience. They're targeting the Latinx audience. He talks about inclusion to this story, and I think every time he used the term Latinx, I think you're kind of turning off a large segment, at least of American-based Latino folks. He says, in our version, it feels a lot more real than fiction. In the MCU fashion, we've grounded it in real cultural significance and cultural traditions. We see the Latinx contingent that is present visually. Ryan Coogler's creation within the Marvel cinematic landscape is one of deep honor and connection to real stuff. So I think a lot of people are going to see themselves represented.
You know what I want to see represented in these films? The comic books. Marvel used to be really good at that. You know, they used to give us the costumes. They would, obviously there was some, movie embellishments and things like that, but they would try to get it as close as possible. And, there were some characters that were swapped around, even in that first Thor movie, with Heimdall and things like that. But people largely didn't mind because they kind of nailed it.
Well, they're talking about we're respecting cultures here. And I'm seeing it here in the Philippines too, where Americans, like white people in America, are trying to make it Filipinx. And nobody here says Filipinx. They say it's Filipino culture. It's Latino culture.
Well, part of the culture is gendered language. So stop with this Latinx, Latinx, or whatever it is. I don't have any Hispanic friends that like it or respect it. They think it's disrespectful. They think it's a slur. You want to respect their culture? Respect their gendered language.
This guy just speaks a lot of gibberish. This is probably my favorite quote, and this is maybe the last one I'll hit. He said, I want to say something about inclusion. I come from a neighborhood, and thanks to inclusion, I'm here.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What the hell was he even trying to say there, Eric? That's a real quote that was put in an article.
I mean, maybe English isn't his first language,
Likely not. But
likely not, or he's not very good at it. But
he's obsessed with, the DEI stuff.
Okay, well, thanks to representation, you're here. Okay, so you've admitted you didn't get here on talent. You didn't get here because you deserve it. You didn't get here on effort. You got here because they were looking to check a box, and you happened to be the guy that fell into the box. Okay, great. I don't need to see your movie then.
I bet you that half Asian actor put in his work on the back. You saw what that comic artist did to him, right?
Oh yeah, Mike Deodato.
That was hilarious.
That was so weird. I was like, okay, I mean, yeah, you're pretty muscular, Mike, but you've also it's kind of also just old man back.
I don't know, man. Normally I'm not all up for body shaming, but in this one I'd say Tenoch Huerta deserved it. Fuck it. I think once again, Kevin Feige is going to get kicked right in the nuts for hiring the wrong person, going down the Brie Larson route of marketing your comic book movie. This thing is destined to fail now, Aaron. And, and it's not even a Namor movie. It's a Black Panther movie.
Sadly, I think that their best bet is and what they're going to do, it's very cynical and very awful, but I think it's going to be like, you need to go see this because this is like you attending Chadwick Boseman's funeral. I really think that that's the way that they're going to market it
so far. Yes.
Yeah, and but I think that they're really going to lean into that marketing. I think they're going to tell people to wear white, and with actors like this and marketing like that, I don't see how I can support it. The whole thing just leaves a terrible taste in my mouth.
Recently, a Marvel insider came out and started explaining why the MCU is broken. You won't be surprised. Actors like Tenoch Huerta are kind of part of the problem here. Definitely check this video out if you haven't seen it yet, or maybe you want to watch it again. If you don't see it there's also a link in the video description.